And we're back. Hello, ladies. Today's the day.
This isn't pretty close. This is all just auction stuff, just to let everybody know.
Flies.
I hope you've been enjoying the day. I know
It's
Megan,
been so much fun.
I know a lot of you have been working really hard, the ones that have been helping organize this event. So thanks very much for all your work, your dedication. Let's start off by introducing yourselves. My name is Yvonne Brown. I'm the founder and president of Ontario Women Anglers. I'm very much a novice musky angler. I'm a member of the Kawartha Lakes chapter, and I'm really all about creating opportunities for women to go out fishing, whether it's musky or other species, but I really try to get new anglers involved in the sport. So Megan, would you introduce yourself? Your name,
Sure.
What bodies of water you fish, and who got you started in musky fishing?
Sure. People are probably sick of hearing me talk today. So my name is Megan McGregor. I'm recently married to Luke Patterson. So I'm kind of going by Megan McGregor Patterson right now to kind of switch over my branding. We live in the Kawartha Lakes. Our home body of water, I guess, is Shamong, but we kind of travel all over. We travel probably more than we should, but it's a ton of fun. And the person who got me musky fishing is my husband, and it's his passion for musky fishing since I think before he could walk, he was catching muskies. So I'm very fortunate to have someone who has been so patient with me and likes to have me in the boat. I talk a lot, so I'm surprised he does, but we have a lot of fun. We catch a lot of awesome muskie. Those are some of my favorites right there in that little slideshow.
Awesome.
You guys know.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. That's my favorite tiger muskie on Lake St. Clair.
And Lisa, how about you?
So I'm Lisa Goodyear. I'm a full-time guide at the Muskie factory. I've lived just east of Ottawa for coming up on 12 years, I guess now. And I can't imagine living any other place. I have 15 minutes from my front door. I have world-class muskie fishing. So I just absolutely love here. The only tough part is that my family's all back in New Brunswick. Just a quick shout out to my mom and dad who watch all these muskies events, even though it's not their thing. Love you guys. I got started in muskie fishing, I guess it was about 10 years ago now. My girlfriend got me a guided trip to go out with the John Anderson from the Muskie factory. Because I heard about this crazy cool apex predator in the river and I wanted to catch one. That day completely changed my life. It just reignited this passion for fishing in my life. And I guess about 5 years ago, I started volunteering for the charity Bluefish Canada with my now friend and mentor, Lawrence Gunther. So that charity is dedicated to fish health, water quality, and of course, we want to inspire the next generation of conservation-minded anglers. So that work kind of reconnected me with John at the factory. And, we had some conversations about me possibly guiding for him. And I just jumped at that chance. Like, that's such an opportunity. So, you know what? Guiding can be a bit of a grind, honestly, and to get into it, it's tough. It's long days. You're out in all weather conditions. You a lot of people don't realize they think it's just fishing, but I mean, your own social media department, you're the maintenance department, you're in sales, accounting. It's, there's a lot that goes into it, but honestly, I absolutely, for the first time in my life, can say I love my job and I'm happy.
Great. And Sam, let us hear about you.
Oh, hi. I'm Samantha Dadson. I had to do the Johnny thing.
Woo!
I know. I'm from Michigan, and that's kind of where my muskie career started. My American ex-boyfriend, I'll say, caught me my first muskie up in the UP, and once that happened, I was hooked. I now live in Niagara Falls, Ontario. I fish all over. Northern Michigan's my favorite place to fish just because I know there's giants. That's where my PB is. But I love Northwest Ontario. My dream would be to be up there every summer for the rest of my life. Like, it's my happy place.
Great. And Alyssa Lloyd.
First of all, you guys are all awesome. I live just outside of Bancroft, Ontario, and I fish pretty well everywhere for muskie. Like Sam said, Northwest Ontario is absolutely incredible, and would move up there in a heartbeat, but I'll settle for our skinny little muskies down here for a little while longer. I've fished all over the place, but I think muskie fishing, it just drew me in pretty easily with photographing other people doing it. And then the day I found out that I could fly fish for them, that was kind of a deal breaker. I just dove right into fishing for them. So, yeah.
Good. And hopefully
That's
we'll hear a
amazing.
little bit more about the fly fishing part of musky fishing.
Mhm.
So something that when we talked earlier about, preparing for this segment, I thought of something else. Like, what makes musky anglers different than those that target other species? Lisa, do you want to start?
Sure. I think we have a bit of a reputation of being, kind of a hardcore bunch. And
Crazy is what some people say.
That's the word. Yeah, Megan, that's the word. I mean, to me, it's so much more than just the fishing. Honestly, not only is it the community, I mean, just this event, like, look how this community has come together to support musky research, but the collecting, I mean, that is nothing compared to what some of the people out there watching right now have. I've seen people have entire garages full of the equipment, and I think that makes us a little different. Like, we get very focused in on the one thing.
And Megan, what do you think makes musky anglers different?
I think the addiction of it, like, it's honestly any kind of angling, you can find an addiction in it. I mean, I was fishing with JP DeRose for bluegill, and they were just as fun as musky fishing. But I think that there's something about catching the top of the food line. Like, to catch the predator fish is so much fun, and you're hunting for them. There's so much that goes into it. You just can't go to a lake and just catch a muskie. I know there's people that have, and usually on walleye lures and such, but to actually target them properly and to be consistent on these lakes you have to do so much work and so much research. So there's so much that goes into it. And I think it's just the dedication and the addiction that goes along with musky fishing that keeps everybody hooked.
Great. And Alyssa, like I said earlier, you fly fish for muskies. So again, that adds another dimension. And is there a difference even within the fly fishing community between those who target trout, which I think, trout and salmon are the majority of the fly anglers out there? And is there a difference between the fly anglers that target muskie?
I would say we probably have a few more holes in us than the trout community does. I don't know. I think like Megan said, it's a predatory thing. It makes you feel like you're outsmarting the apex predator yourself. And you're always learning with them, regardless of conventional or fly gear. And you always learn something new about them every single time you go out. And I think we're kind of addicted to the learning aspect of muskie, at least in my case I am. And especially with fly fishing, like, there's always a new technique, a new way to do it, a different leader to try, a different way to cast, a different rod to figure out if it's, throwing the big musky flies better. And I think a lot of trout anglers think we're nuts. But it's a lot of fun.
Do you tie your own flies for muskie?
I do, but there's a reason I don't continue to. I'm not very good at it, to be honest. I don't sit still very well. So, I usually get my friend David to tie them for me, and I've gotten a couple flies from Tony at Nightmare musky flies too. Yeah.
Great. And Sam, what makes you different than other anglers out there fishing for bass and walleye and other species?
I mean, I love fishing for bass. I'll be the one to say they're like my second favorite fish to fish for. I would say the challenge of musky fishing, like Meg said, it's the hunt. So when you have that drive, and guys, it's going to be scary now with all these women in here because we have a much more drive than you, I would say.
We're much more passionate, I would say.
Right, I would say, yeah. Yeah, once we find that passion, we're hooked and we'll do anything. Like, it's our release. It's what we love.
I just noticed a question in the comments here, and I guess it's targeted to Alyssa. What length of rod do you use, and what weight? What weight of fly line do you use for musky?
So most of my rods for fly fishing are 9 feet. I use anything from a 11 weight rod to a 12 weight rod for musky. I just find that you can overline your reel, overlining means like putting a heavier weight on to help with the casting. And then it usually helps throwing like the bigger flies. I don't have any.
Yeah, I'd love to see this
here, but like when you're getting into throwing flies around this size or this size, like they don't look like too much right now, but once they get wet, they get very heavy. And you can, especially when you've got material, like quite a bit more material on some of them than others, you just want a rod that's going to be able to hold that weight and load up for you and actually support it and not feel like it's going to snap in your hands. But yeah, 11 to 12 for sure.
So this kind of leads into the next topic that we were going to speak about, and that is like, and Alyssa, maybe I'll just get you to continue to talk about like favorite setups, techniques, baits, lures, flies, anything like that. Your go-tos.
I keep things pretty simple. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a gearhead, but I'm a gearhead in a way of I just have a lot of flies. I usually use 2 rods in a season. So I have my 11 weight Echo Boost. So it's a saltwater rod. And then I have a 12 weight Opti Salt from Loop. So I've got this bad boy. It's just got a straight like 12 weight reel on it. Right now it's got Leviathan line. It's basically made for tarpon. So it's saltwater line. So it's made for casting big streamers and bugs for them. I do a loop to loop from my line to the leader. So this is a sinking tip line just on this particular setup, but that's not how you have to fish all the time. So I do a loop to loop for the line to the leader. And then I guess our leader is a little bit different than what you'd expect on a gear fishing setup. So I have about 3 feet of like 60-pound fluoro. And then I have a metal leader on the end. I don't know if you guys can see this okay.
Yep.
It's and then I've got like a little S clip for this guy. However, it's not my favorite. I don't feel secure with it. I much prefer something like this. So very similar to gear. Yeah. Yeah, and then other than that, it's just getting a rod that actually works for you. And I used a Sage 11 weight rod for probably 5 years before it finally broke. So yeah, just taking care of your gear.
Great. And Sam, any favorite setups you have, techniques? I know that you obviously fish with Dads and Blade baits, so you can tell us a little bit about those, and maybe let us know why they're so popular.
Because they're the best.
I think a big part of it is, there's my favorite lure I just made, is that like we put out a lot of prototypes of each model and kind of send them to pro staff to do that kind of thing. And whatever ones come back with the bigger fish and whatnot is usually the ones that we put out. So we're putting out the ones that are doing it for us. Like I'll show one of mine. So I had a 10-9 lure that was doing really, really well, and Johnny was going on a trip to bigger fish water, so he wanted a 2-hook version, and that's this. I call it Toothless after How to Train Your Dragon. It's my favorite movie. And so he took this out, didn't really use it, so I stole it on my next trip, and the very first fish on this one was over 50 inches. So then I knew that the smaller model was doing well, so then I was like, okay, I'm going to go off of that to get the 2-hook model. So it's just, we try to find tools that work well in certain areas, pressured areas. So that's what, like, we add like exciting things, props to the top, dangles to the bottom, like. Also, we have the Chandler, we call it. It's our leader. So we have a blade on there that spins. So we're thinking, because it's doing so well, that it's kind of like a fish is chasing another fish, so the muskie thinks it's distracted, or it's a vibration change that they're not used to. So this thing is doing awesome, but just constantly developing ways to trigger the fish, because it is a lot harder to catch them now.
Yes, much more competition out there in the water these days.
Yeah.
They're
And
all a lot more pressured.
yes, yeah. And Lisa, any favorites, any favorite setups, favorite lures? I know you have, and I think that's just your collection for guiding behind you, correct? That's not even your personal stuff.
Pretty much guiding and or, you know, selling. Trying to make money when you're not guiding is a big part of it. But I'm obviously a huge Shimano fan. I'll let Megan touch on that. And I'll just talk to you about a few of my favorite Muskie factory baits. Something that Sam touched on, being different is really huge in pressure waters, but also seasonally. You know, by the time the August rolls around, the fish have seen a ton of blades. You know, they see 10s all day long. So anything you can do to be a little different. We got a couple of things. This is a brand new one that I'm looking forward to chucking this year. We call this color the bullfrog. But the neat thing about this is it has two different size blades, if you can see,
Oh, yeah.
and a magnite, and so that will just create us a different profile in the water. The other thing that we have is our hybrids. So spinner baits, and they give off a much different vibration in the water as well. This is a 4-skirt model. As you can see, it's quite a big bait. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize that the hybrids, even with the smaller blades, actually pull in harder and thump more than just pulling 210. So oftentimes what I'll do when I'm running this bait is I'll be using a lower gear reel rather than the high gear tranks.
Oh, wow.
And just really quickly, I'm super excited about this. I got this yesterday as a surprise from my girlfriend. Absolutely blew me away. And I got to give a shout out to Anthony and Sarah from Sabotizer Baits. I've been wanting one of these for a long time, and I am super pumped to have this in the water this year. So
I need one of those too. He was just auctioning one off. They are so nice.
Yeah, and last but not least, we just started carrying actually on the Muskie Factory Bait website the Franken Suick. So this is a 14-inch Suick, and the cool thing about it, you can see it's actually fully adjustable from 9 to 11 ounces. So, you know, certain times of the year, you can rip it high up over weed beds, and then in the fall, my favorite tactic is to really weight it down and work it slower in the water column. So we now have these on the website.
Oh, great. And Megan, and I know you're going to talk Shimano, so let's hear about the skips
Here we go,
and the
eh?
trank.
Everybody knows. Well, I might sound biased because yes, I am a pro staffer for Shimano, but that is all I've ever fished. Luke, my husband, has set me up right from the beginning with such great equipment that's helped me be able to fish longer and fish better, in my opinion. I really find that buying great equipment will help you stay on the water and fish longer. So my favorite setup right now, I mean, early season, I have my 8-foot Skix. It's an extra heavy, and I pair it with the Tranx 400. I find this is the most versatile reel on the market. I like the way that it fits in my hand. I can use it all season long and on any of my rods. I also have an 8.6 that I'm going to be transitioning to, as well as my 9.6 that I'm obsessed with. The telescopic makes it so easy to transport without any added weight. Like, these are the lightest rods on the market right now, and they are the craziest technology. And yeah, this is to be, for me, if you were trying to get your wife or your girlfriend or somebody involved in musky fishing, this reel, the 400 HG is such an easy reeling rod that you're going to have your girlfriend out there for longer and hopefully catching you bigger fish than you get. So this is my setup. I would say an 8.6 with a Tranx 400 would be your best bet for any setup, in my opinion, for musky fishing.
Yeah. Personally, like I said, I'm a novice musky angler. I haven't been out on the water targeting too much. I also use the Tranx, but started with the 300. I'm going to move up to the 4, and I just use an 8.6 Comfrey. So hopefully this year I'll get out a little bit more. Talking, and I know I showed you this earlier. This is my favorite lure. Obviously, it hasn't been fished with yet. I'm really nervous about putting it in the water because it was meant, kind of meant as a gift. It's by Frank Thurston from Thirsty Lures. And he was kind enough to put the Ontario Women Anglers logo, or part of the logo, on it too. So as much as I want to treasure it and keep it like this, I would really prefer it to have some good bite marks on it too. So
would be
hopefully
amazing.
Hopefully get that out in the summer.
Frank's lure just at the auction went for, I think, over $500.
Yeah,
I think it was a
550,
13-inch. So crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite lures, I guess do we talk about that now, or are we doing that in the next
Sure,
segment?
yeah, you could do that now.
I have a lot. My favorite go-to that I find is my easiest casting lure. This one's actually like torn apart right now. Needs a little doctoring. Is the Water Wolf Shadzilla, and I have it in almost every color. Very cost-effective bait, easily to run, great vibrations in the water with the paddle tail. Again, I'm on the Dads and Pro Staff team. I love every Dads and bait that they produce. I really am into the offset blades right now. I find that I've been catching the biggest fish consistently with an offset blade. Then crankbaits, can't go wrong with a DK or blue water or candies. And then I actually just won the Red October package in the auction. So I'm excited. It's got $400 worth of crazy baits. So these tubes are my favorite rubber, other than the Shadzilla and the Water Wolf, to be able to, I jig them. We just twitch them in the water. I just find that I kind of go back and forth between all of these baits all day long. As soon as I lose confidence in one, I'm changing it up and trying another thing. See what the fish want. And obviously top waters too. I can't tell you all my favorite lures. There's too many.
Anybody else have any favorites with them that they wanted to show if they haven't done already?
I do. I've been trying to catch my first rubber fish since I started fishing, and I've been throwing and throwing and throwing, and finally this last season I did. On this one, it's like pink and chartreuse, but I want to throw dogs and medusas all day long. They're fun, and when they come in, you're like, oh, it's a fishy. You're like, you can do so many things with it. So I was super pumped about that. That's definitely one of my favorites. And then this is like my super old guy. He's all beat up. I retired him. This is my 9mm. Just to mention it, like this bait has a few fish over 50, and it was my confidence bait. So I think everybody has their confidence bait. So even in the weirdest times, November, when it's snowing and freezing, go to your confidence bait, even sometimes if it's blades. Like my first
even a blade.
Yeah, my first fish over 50 came in November on a 9mm. And while everybody else is throwing pounders, so just like don't ever be afraid to do something a little different too.
Anyone else? So speaking of 50 inches, how many are in that club? 1, 2. Oh, not
everybody
yet.
but me.
Just to get you there.
I know. Sam has to get me there. I'm so close. I had like so many fish so close to it this year. And the last fishing trip I went on, my girlfriend she does fish, Emma Michael, she's the best. She comes in, I catch a 47 and a bit trolling on a musky candy, and then her next fish is a 51 or 50 and a half or something like that. And I'm just like, because I want it so bad, I'm not going to get it. So it'll be fine. It'll happen. I have a lot of great fish, a lot of fat fish. They're just not over that 50 mark.
Let's talk about goals for 2021 then. Lisa, anything that you want to try this season that maybe you haven't had the time? I know with guiding, it keeps you really busy, but something, a personal 2021 goal for you this year?
Yeah, 2 goals. One that Megan kind of touched on is I really want to do more jigging for muskies. So that's another tactic this year that I want to focus on. But separate from musky fishing, I want to force myself to do more multi-species angling. You know, I don't. But the thing is, if you can understand the patterns of the other species and the bait, then it'll make you a better musky angler. So it's something that I really want to force myself to do.
Alyssa, the same question. Anything that you really want to do this season that you haven't had a chance yet to do?
Probably just give it a little bit harder on fly fishing for them. I know it's really tempted for me to just put down the fly rod and give my arms a break and pick up the conventional gear. As you can see, like the fly rod's on the deck there, but then the gear rod's right beside it. No, I think just getting out there a lot more. Last year was kind of an off year for me. I think it was an off year for everyone, but I'm pretty stoked about just getting out more for myself, and maybe fishing by myself a little bit more instead of trying to introduce a whole bunch of new people to it. Just give myself some time to fish, like really fish.
Yeah, I hear you. Sam, anything you really want to do this year?
Yeah, I recently have been getting into kayak fishing more. I bought a pretty nice kayak last year, and I'm upgrading it this year. And got a fish finder, GoPros, all that stuff. Gonna do the thing. And I really want to catch muskie over 50 in a kayak. I've done it. I've caught a couple little dinks, but I'm ready to catch the big one. So that is definitely my goal this year.
I think a 50-incher will definitely take you for a ride, though, too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And Megan, what are you hoping to? The 50-inch club.
The 50-inch club. I'm trying to almost like one of those things when you want it so bad it doesn't happen. So I'm trying to just appreciate musky fishing like I always do. I want to try to get out to a couple new bodies of water, but also I think I've said this in a couple other seminars. I really want to catch consistent big fish too. It's not all about going to new bodies of water. It's trying to really master some of the lakes that I'm already fishing. And I would like to get out on a couple like guided trips. So I'm definitely hitting up Lisa. Sam and I are going to go fishing. Yvonne, everybody. I would love to go fishing with all the women that I've been meeting, and I'm hoping that this summer there's some sort of normalcy so we can get some good OWA events. Really just trying to get everybody that I can into the sport that I love doing, because it makes it easier for me to fish when more people want to do it.
Yeah. And speaking of getting more women out musky fishing, the Ontario Women Anglers formed a partnership with Muskies Canada, the Kawartha Lakes chapter, and we were able to hold 2 intro to musky fishing events in it's 2017 and 2019 we did it. We had 40 ladies on the water each day. We had a great time, ladies who had never even seen a muskie. Some of them, they caught fish. And then we have also formed a partnership with the Ottawa chapter. We tried to do an event last September, but of course, COVID put the brakes on that. And we're not too sure what's going to happen this fall. So, but hopefully, 2022, if we have to plan that far ahead, that we will have another event and get more ladies introduced to this part of the sport. And speaking of which, what type of advice would each of you have for women that are interested? Maybe they already do fish for other species and have an interest in targeting muskies, and what kind of suggestions would you make? Let's start with you.
Just getting out there and spending as much time as possible. You're not going to see fish from the couch, that's for sure. Try new things. Listen to your guide if you're with one, but don't always just go with the norm. Like Sam had said earlier, while everyone was, throwing plastics and that kind of stuff, she threw blades and caught her first big fish. Like that's just those random times where you just try something different. That's what's going to happen, right? So that muskie there, I caught that while everyone was eating shore lunch. Like you just keep on fishing and do it as much as possible and give yourself the opportunity to see more fish, right? So maybe don't start with fly fishing. You're going muskie, just start with something to get the rhythm down, because you'll hook yourself considerably less than I did.
And Sam?
It's so cool that you fly fish for them, though.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I love that.
Yeah.
And Sam, what would you tell a female angler wanting to target muskie?
Just to make sure you're prepared for one. Safety. I think something that people forget about a lot is wearing the life vest and having the gloves. And because if a lady goes out and the first time she catches a muskie and grips it and her hands get shredded, she's probably never going to want to do it again. So just make sure you're safe about it until you learn everything, and try to get, products like Meg was saying that will work for you and make it easier for you your first few times going out. Because I know my first few trips were, a couple hours away and you're fishing 12 hours a day. So you just want to make sure you're prepared for that, and just to enjoy it. And if you do get frustrated, take a break. Like I've taken a day break before, and then I stood up and I'm like, I'm ready to do this. And I caught a fish that next cast. So make sure you take that breather if you need it.
And Lisa, maybe any advice, but also maybe talk a little bit about your guiding experience and what you tell your clients, especially if they're brand new to musky fishing.
Well, you touched on it earlier. Mentorship is huge, and that's where the clubs come in. You know, Ontario Women Anglers, Muskies Canada. I cannot tell you, they're such an incredible group, and the support there. You know, the meetings, people will partner you, take you out fishing. It's a fantastic way to learn. The other thing I will touch on really quickly is we're working hard to build a resource library on our YouTube channel. So it's YouTube/Muskie Factory, and there's literally 30 hours currently of incredible free seminars that we've put up. So all that information is up there and it's available, and it's a great learning tool. I can tell you that I've taken away so much from it myself. So that's definitely one. And as far as guiding, you know, we've all kind of touched on it a little bit, but first and foremost, it's just to stick with it. A lot of people, you know, don't, you know, like I said, it's not like bass. You can't go out and expect to catch 10, 20, 30 fish in a day. There are days where you're going to go out and you're not going to catch a fish, but just enjoy your time on the water. That's so much of what it's about. And then when you do get that fish, it's so rewarding.
Great. And Megan?
Okay, there's so many things I would say. Number one, try to do, when you're first starting out, try to do smaller times on the water. So maybe do an evening fish, just so you don't get down on yourself and it's not so much digest all at once. Because yes, there are days that I'm on the water for 18 hours. Girls, I'm sure you know the feeling it feels like. So sometimes it's a lot, and snacks are so important. I've seen somebody in the comments right here, Sandra, snacks are so important. I can tell you when the fish aren't biting, I am biting into a bag of Bits and Bites. So I love snacks, and then keeping it fun, music on the boat. Like Luke and I have so much fun. I'm very fortunate because I have him and he is so great with me, and kind of going through all the lures, making sure that it's the right lure for the water, making sure that you're like susceptible to learning about what's going on under the water as well. Like just try to really dive into what you want. Yeah, there's me. This is me. You would see all my family to be the angler that I am today. Like there was something else on my Facebook page my mom posted. It was my birthday yesterday, and it's me touching like a sunfish like this. But now this should be a meme when the fish gets off right beside the boat. That should be it.
That'd be perfect.
But yeah, so I would just say do digestible chunks of musky fishing so that you don't scare yourself off, because it is hard on the body, even with good equipment. Our baits are heavy, like the big pounder dogs are heavy. Just do small bits and then work your way up, and definitely connect with a lot of like amazing anglers. Like I'm so happy with the community that I have. Sam, we have Lauren, who's the Northern Fox, Chelsea, like we met at the first Odyssey and we've been friends ever since. Surround yourself with good people who all love musky fishing, and it makes it all so much more fun.
Right. And Lisa touched on the mentorship part. I'm a strong advocate for having mentors. When I started back in fishing, Jason Lush, someone I met through my badminton club, was my mentor for a number of years. I learned so much just generally about fishing. But joining a Muskies Canada chapter too, when I wanted to learn more about the species, that was the first thing I did, because, you know, in my eyes, these are the experts. They had spent years and years on the water. The Kawartha Lakes chapter in particular has been very, very welcoming. Looking to get, you know, the conservation message out there, trying to get new people involved in the sport. And just when I was starting out and I didn't have any baits or anything. So when clubs have tackle swaps, it's a great opportunity when you're starting out, because as you know, they do tend to be very, very expensive as compared to other gear. And I only have maybe 20, 25 baits. And I don't even want to know how many you guys have.
So many.
Yeah, but it's great for that. And the support and the education you get through Muskies Canada and their members is just, it's invaluable. And then again, outdoors groups like Ontario Women Anglers and others always a great opportunity to network and to find other women or other anglers in your community to go out with. So mentorship to me means a real lot, and you want a good mentor too, right? You want someone who is not just knowledgeable, but can be a good teacher and is ethical. So I think good mentors are, again, another invaluable resource to us.
And they'll teach you so much also about, like, I guess we haven't really touched upon, like Sam kind of touched upon how important it is to have good, like, safe releasing tools as well.
Yes.
Having like this, making sure you have the hook cutters, you having, because just we put these fish back, right? We're not eating them. So
Right.
we need to make sure that we are rehabilitating and we are releasing these properly. So having the proper tools is also so important. But you also learn that from such a great mentor, right? So learning that from, there's full seminars in Muskies Canada regarding safe releasing of muskies. So making sure you have all the proper tools is so important for these fish, because we let them go so they can grow. Like, there's all the social media about that. So that's what we do.
So musky stories, biggest fish, first fish, most memorable moment. This is your time to shine. Let's start with you, Sam.
I'll go biggest fish just because it was kind of a cool story. So right after opener in Michigan, went out on one of my favorite lakes and casting rubber. It was basically right after spawn, and where we live, I know there's giants. And I was bringing in, I think it was a mid Medusa, and just an absolute giant. Took a swipe at it, missed, and like hit the leader kind of. Hi, Vader. So I was just, oh no, because I hadn't never seen a fish that big before. So the next day there was a front coming in, and I was like, we have to go now. Like, if we're going to catch this fish, I know it's then. Sure enough, we go out. The first pass that we make, I get a 56 incher, and it was like,
oh my God.
I know. It was definitely the coolest experience, and to know, like, pre-front, put it all together and get her. Like, it was awesome.
Great. And Alyssa?
I'll probably go with biggest fish too, just because it's a pretty fond memory of mine for many reasons. My friend Desmond and I were on a ladies trip. We did a fly-in to Rowan Lake, and it was incredible. We saw so many muskies that week. Our hopes were high the entire time. We were fishing super clear water, so we finally narrowed it down to like, hey, first light and last light is when we're going to be getting into them. Des ended up catching like a 33-inch beautiful muskie 2 days into the trip, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is like great news. We're seeing so many fish. We did a couple portage lakes, saw even more fish in there. And we're on the 5th and second last day, and I haven't caught anything. I blew a fish on the portage lake, and I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, that's it. Like, I was here for 6 days and I couldn't make it happen. Saw like the most muskie I've ever seen in my life and still couldn't make it happen. I think the owner's son, Chris, took a lot of pity on us. We ended up going out one evening just to tour the lake and go and hit a couple spots after dinner. And he was like, let's go into this bay. And this bay, I like saw at least 16 different boats that day. And I was like, I really don't want to go there. I want to go somewhere like fresh and new and blah, blah, blah. He's like, let's just go. And I'm like, okay. I casted. He yelled, like, you've got something on you. I look down. I see this fish just like chomping behind my bucktail. Landed it. It did like an aerial right at the boat. Chris swears it was eye level. It wasn't. It was a beach boat. There's no way.
Everything's always so much more dramatic when that's happening.
It was a 45.5-inch fish. And then 10 casts later, I caught my 50 right at my feet. Oh. So it was like back-to-back fish within probably 15 minutes of one another in the same bay. So we didn't even turn the corner all the way. And he was like, we're gonna have to think about packing it in here pretty soon. So yeah, that was my first 50. So after 8 years of musky fishing, I caught my first 50.
Wow.
Okay, so I have some time still.
Okay.
Yeah, you do.
And Lisa, how about you? favorite muskie story?
Oh, well, let's stick with the theme. Yeah, I'll go personal best as well. I mean, you never forget that. And it was kind of cool. I had a day off, believe it or not, and I was fishing down on the St. Lawrence. It's a completely different body of water to the Ottawa. The Ottawa is a tannin stained, darker water. So, you're 2 or 3 feet visibility kind of thing most times. So when you get down to the St. Lawrence and it's crystal clear and you can see 10 feet at the bottom, it's a whole nother world. And I find it to be a great learning tool for me, because when you do get a fish, instead of looking, because for me, I'm always looking at my electronics to read what I'm looking at. But down there, I can actually go and see, okay, what was that fish relating to? So that's really cool. But this particular trip, I was down there with 2 really great friends and people in my life. So Lawrence Gunther from Bluefish Canada and Mike Spratt from Muskie Factory Baits. And we were actually fishing a Muskies Canada chapter outing, which was super fun. Another reason to join Muskies Canada. And we fished hard all day, nothing going. We were trolling, 20 to 30 feet. We tried 5 to 8 foot weed lines. And then finally, I said, let's go shallow. And we were fishing in front of an island in 2 feet of water. And this muskie cruised past the boat. And of course, we're all just going ballistic, like to see this thing that close to the boat and, chucking baits at it. And it's just turning away. Like, yeah, I can see you guys. Like, it's like 10 feet away, and the kind of cruised past the boat. And I was like, I'm going to give it one more shot. And it came around the other side of the boat, and I turned and I did 1 cast, 2 cranks, and it hit. And it was just like millimeters shy of 52, but I round up because I probably could have squeezed the tail to 52. And the coolest thing about that fish is that it was actually my first spotted muskie. It was absolutely stunningly beautiful. And a day I'll never forget for sure.
Great. Okay, Megan, we got about 2 minutes left.
We're running out of time. Mine's short. The last trip that I went, we did 3 amazing lakes on Northwest Ontario. We did Lac Sewell, Lake of the Woods, and Eagle Lake. Our first lake that we went to was Lac Sewell, which there's, as you guys know, I think, Alyssa, you have fished a lot of Lac Sewell.
Yeah.
There's giants in there. Like, there's people that have caught 57, 58 fish inch muskie in there. So every time something bites or every fish you see from there could be the fish of a lifetime. Yeah. So it was our first day fishing there. We didn't really know what to do for that. And it's this fish on the screen right now. And there was a huge storm rolling in. If you know Lac Sewell, they're not mapped very well. It takes an hour to get to where you want to fish. We have only like a single console boat. We have an 18.5 Crestliner, amazing boat, love our boat, but not for the types of waves that can blow up on Lac Sewell. As soon as the weather was changing, we're like, this is when it's going to happen. We called our shot. I'm reeling in a Shadzilla, the walleye from Waterwolves, one of my favorite lures. And I'm doing the figure 8. I cast it again, do the figure 8. And this fish, and especially in a figure 8 fish, I think everyone would know. I thought it was like a 70-inch muskie at this point, right? Like it comes out of nowhere like a hot tornado and eats my lure. And I've had so many figure 8 fish that have done that and have gotten off right beside the boat. So Luke was so quick to get the net. I got it. I'm fighting it, and it's in the net. And I'm like shaking talking about it. I wish it was a 50-inch fish, but it was 47.5. The fattest fish that I have. My longest is a 49. But I still think this 47.5 is actually my heaviest fish. So so much fun. Just talking about this makes me want to fish so badly. I cannot wait for June. So we're just on time now. It's 5 o'clock.
I know. So we have to wrap it up. I just want to say thanks so much to all of you for participating in this panel. I look forward to seeing what you're going to bring this season. I want to thank Muskies Canada for putting together this great event, and to Scotty Martin from the Canadian Fishing Network for being our producer and doing just a awesome job.
Thank you very much. We'll let you guys drop off.
Thank you, Scotty.
And we really appreciate you being here. Thank you again.
Okay. See you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Brian. See you on the other side.
Warning. And the mega seems to be moving. It's at 275.